Hey everybody, and welcome to Across the Desk. This week we have Sean Cummings on, and we're going to discuss a few things about
the Oklahoma County Jail.
That's pretty much it this week on Across the Desk. Hey Sean, welcome to the show again.
Thank you.
We saw you last season. Here we are in the middle of this season.
Right.
And you are the vice mayor of the village,
yes.
And there's some things going on in the village when
right.
it comes to what you guys are going to do with your detainees
right.
and people in the jails and stuff. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so what most people don't realize is smaller cities like the village, we only have 10,000 population. That's our population. So we have a couple of jail cells, but really no one's supposed to be in there over 12 hours.
Okay.
So what we need to do is book them in, and then we used to take them down to Oklahoma County Jail or the detention center.
Yeah.
And it just became too dangerous, quite frankly. And our former mayor, Adam Graham, came up with the idea to try to find somewhere else to put them. And he actually came up with the idea to send them to Midwest City.
Midwest City. And how long did you do that for?
So that went for over 2 years.
2 years.
And what you do is you work a deal with the chief of police and with the mayor. Mayor Dukes, I believe is his name. I think I'm right there. And everything was going fine. We had one person that habitually calls the police that they were having problems with. And what they told us is they were like, look, we can't take people that are difficult to deal with. You'll have to take them to Oklahoma County.
Okay.
And then eventually they just decided we have enough of our own problems, we don't need yours.
Gotcha.
Now unfortunately that puts us in this bizarre position of having to put our detainees in the most dangerous jail in America.
So it is the most dangerous jail
Literally,
in America.
I'm not kidding.
It is.
And that's not hyperbole.
Well, I mean, they have been doing better, haven't they? Has it improved any at all? Or?
It has improved. And they've got a new lady run it named Brittany Gardner. And Brittany has done nice things, but the problem is she still has a lot of the crew from the old jail.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you've got to clean the whole thing out.
Yeah.
So I think she's tried and done well. There are less deaths. Is it still rampant drugs running through there? Yes. Are there still bed bugs? Yes. Is there still mold? Yes. I mean,
they can't pass a health inspection.
Right.
And that's a problem.
And that's my low bar.
Yeah.
If you can pass a health inspection, we are willing to negotiate.
Yeah.
But if you can't pass a health inspection, with a clear conscience, I can't send people there.
No. And you know, there's some people out there who just aren't that educated who will say, well, why should jail be comfortable for anybody?
So what you'll hear is that, and then you'll hear, well, you know how you stay out of jail, don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
80% of the people that are in Oklahoma County Jail have not been convicted of the crime they're there for.
There you go.
80%.
This all has to do with constitutionality and people's rights.
8th and 14th Amendment. No excessive bail and no undue harsh sentence.
Gotcha.
And when you're in a place where rapes are happening regularly, you've got gang members, they had gang members on the staff.
Overdosing.
And fentanyl's an enormous problem.
Yeah.
Look, we are deciding to break our oath that we take for office by sending anybody there.
Yeah.
And I just refuse to do that.
And so now you have a deal working with
Yukon.
Yukon.
And
how is that going?
So we got our whole part of it done, and honestly, I haven't gotten the email back saying it was accepted, but there wouldn't be any reason it wasn't. It was all negotiated in advance. We just had to vote as a council on it, and it was overwhelming. You know, it was 5-0 to get it through. So it's not just me that's the compassionate, guy. Hey man, I look at it and go, we took control of you.
Yeah.
When we arrest you, we take control.
Yeah.
So we're in charge of your medical, we're in charge of your food, we're in charge of your education or lack thereof if they're juveniles. And people don't really understand that. We're now the parent.
Yeah.
And as a parent, we have legal obligations.
You know, and this all goes back to definitions that you can read in dictionaries, like what custody means.
Right. What does it mean? You're in custody.
What does that mean, even for an adult?
When parents fight for custody, it's the same thing.
That means that they are responsible for you. Once they take you into custody, they're responsible for you.
Yeah. And so there are great stories about the jail, and one of the police departments went down to drop somebody off there, and they were fighting with the guy and kept calling inside for backup. They didn't have anybody to send.
Yeah.
They had to call Oklahoma City police to come to the jail to help them. Look, a disorganized group took it over, masterminded by Kevin Calvi, which obviously he's not a mastermind. It's a joke. It's a joke.
You know, that was a big negative for him that I think helped lose the election for him. And people like you, Mark Falk, slamming him daily and weekly, that really had an effect on his campaign. He even says so in his social media post that it had an effect on his campaign.
So does his mother.
Do what?
So does his mother.
Yeah, you know, and it's not the golly, they came out and they said all this stuff and they beat me. It's god dang, they said all this stuff. We need to go after him and arrest him for saying this stuff about me.
Exactly. He is yet another person who would like to violate your rights.
Pretty
but
much.
Not have his own violated.
Pretty much.
We didn't lie about anything at the jail, and what is coming up now with the jail is all stuff we predicted.
Yeah.
Now, we also probably got people riled up enough to not want the jail either.
Yeah.
Because we showed the deficiencies there.
Pretty much.
All we did was show what the fire department said, what the U.S. attorney said, what the attorney general had to say, and what the health department had to say. And we got to tour the place. We know what it is.
Yeah.
So after 3 years, they are now painting and sealing cells. And what I mean by that is they'll be able to keep some of the bed bugs out.
Well, that's good.
And stop the mold.
What about deaths at the jail? This year's improved, hasn't it?
It's way better, but they just had one last week.
They just had one last week. What are we up to this year now?
I truthfully don't know the count this year. Usually everybody else handles that. I should have looked that up before I came in. But it's not enough for us to be back down there protesting.
No.
Because we know that Brittany Gardner is trying.
She's trying.
Her name is really close to Brittany Griner, so I have to be careful.
Yeah.
Brittany Gardner. And she's done better on that, and she does talk to the community. Like, I've sat down and talked to her. I sat down and talked to 2 of the 3 county commissioners before we made the decision at the village. Mm-hmm. We didn't make the decision. The police chief and the city manager were the ones that got a hold of Yukon. So I don't want to make it look like I drove to Yukon and cut a deal.
No.
I just voted
This was a team effort with the city of the village.
To do the right thing?
To do the right thing.
Yeah.
And where are you at in the process? What has Yukon said? Are they putting on their agenda? Is it going to come up? Has it come up? What's going on with that?
I don't think they have to sign off that way. I think we're in as soon as their chief of police signs off.
As soon as their chief of police signs off, you're in.
And we very well could already be sending people there. I hate to say this, but this is one of these things, we don't get an email saying it's happening.
Yeah.
We vote on an item, and then the city manager acts on it. And we don't get told minute by minute how that's going.
Okay.
But the deal was already agreed.
And how much is it a day per?
$42, which, in all honesty, that is not enough money.
Okay.
So it's nice that you're not allowed to make money in a deal like that.
Yeah.
But you are allowed to break even. And it is probably cost more than $42 to keep somebody in jail.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, think of just the medical alone.
Yeah.
So I think you got to
The
look at
medical,
that.
the personnel you got to hire, the guards, everybody else that goes in with it, keeps the lights on, the building insurance and everything else.
Probably not making payments on the building, so that changes it from a normal business. But let's talk about locations for the new jail. I mean,
locations for the new jail. So now that we got this nice information about what the village is doing and everything else.
So Bethany doesn't send their kids there, their people there either. Yukon doesn't send their people there. Edmond doesn't send their people there. There's a whole bunch of people in the county that don't
send their. Really?
That is Oklahoma City's jail.
Edmond doesn't send.
They have their own jail.
They have their own jail.
Midwest City has their own jail.
Really?
So if I send them there now, it's a legal problem for me and for the city of the village.
Yeah.
We know what's wrong. Especially with me, they have hours and hours of me publicly saying what's wrong.
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
But by doing all of that, that's also why nobody wants this group running a jail in their city.
Yeah.
If it was somebody different, management-wise, I think you could probably get a location.
Like, totally.
Everybody thinks I don't want a jail in my backyard. They don't want this jail in their backyard.
Yeah.
So we're down to an option at the location where they are now, which is what we've always said to do.
Which is the location? Which location are they?
So they're at 2nd and Chartel. And across the street is the old police station and jail.
Okay.
And they tore all that down. So you could build your minimum security there, leave maximum security over here, and repair the building. Way cheaper than doing anything else that they wanted to do. Or, here's the thing, the bond, $260 million for county buildings. It wasn't for a jail. It said for county buildings.
Huh.
They could build a mental health facility instead and empty half of that thing out.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay with that.
That's one of the things we need.
That's what we actually need.
Do we have something like that? Does the county have something like
Griffin is moving into Oklahoma County. To Griffin from Norman.
Yeah.
And that will give us an extra 110 beds when we need minimum 1,000, 1,500. Mental health, we live in a state where people just want you to rough it and get better and just do it on your own, the Ronald Reagan thing. That's why he emptied out all the mental health places. It doesn't work.
No, that's why we have the homeless problem we have today.
Exactly.
The homeless problem is a direct effect of getting rid of all the mental institutions. Right. But you know what? I gotta say, I remember being a kid in the 70s, and it was a bunch of, it was people on the left too, about, these mental facilities are so horrible, they're
One flew over the
people
cuckoo's
and
nest.
all that stuff, and then the stories come out, next thing you know, everybody wants to shut them down because they're like this jail.
Yeah.
They weren't good places for those people.
How come we can't pay anybody a decent wage to be a professional jailer or a professional in a mental health facility? Look, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I got a Best Supporting Actor for playing Billy Bibbit, the kid that kills himself, and that, by the way, doesn't matter on any of this, but I did. That movie itself changed everybody's view towards mental health. The problem is, are they better off walking around out on the street?
No. They're not any better walking out on the street.
So the other major thing here is if they take the location out by the airport, for one, there's no bus. So everyone's going to walk to the airport and be a vagrant at the airport. And we, as a city, do not want that to be your hello coming to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So the way rent works on a jail, that jail, they get $50 a day, somewhere in that range. So they keep you to 12:05 a.m., so they get another $50 and then they let you out on the street.
Huh.
What happens if you came in the summer and you were drunk or high and you have swim shorts and a t-shirt on? It's January. They just throw you outside. You got to go find someplace warm, so you got to go commit another felony.
Right. Good.
I mean, so everybody acts like there's this thing called the hub where you can go and get all these facility helps. Sue Arnold put up the building for it. That's great if the jailers tell people about it, but if the jailers don't tell anybody about it, which they don't, you don't know to go there. Yeah. There's no bus going every 30 minutes to pick up the people getting out of the jail to take them to the hub.
Yeah.
Somewhere or another, telepathically, you're supposed to know to go there. I mean, it is.
And that's about this, going back to this custody word again. Once they release you at 12:05, you're no longer in their custody. So they wash their hands of you pretty much.
And so if it were you and I, and we're downtown, you walk through a parking lot to get to the street, that's trespassing.
Yeah.
And so they can just pick you right back up and throw you back in.
Huh.
Right. The never-ending revolving door, once it gets started, is very difficult to stop. Look, they can build just fine where the place is now. What happened is there was a bunch of investment money in apartment complexes, and they wanted that building gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one else has taken it. And here's the thing that I will say. The black community has stood up better than I've ever seen them do in the 24 years I've been in Oklahoma. They're just like, you're not sticking this stuff with us. Because that's where it always got stuck. They give a few places and then quietly agree to put it in the black community. And they have shown up in numbers to say we're not having it anymore.
Well, that's good, because that's good. That's a good thing, I think of that with, like, whenever you mention that, we're going to build this in the black community, kind of like how they ran highways like 240 in Tulsa
to split the city.
Split them, keep them away from the downtown, because there's no way to really get to downtown but a few corridors.
Unless you want to cross the highway.
Yeah.
Then you got to take your life into your own hands. That's been the urban planning for a long time. I am just glad they're fighting it. I mean, I really am. Look, we've got to quit thinking about them people over there. We're all citizens. Everybody can vote, unless you're a felon. I know you can vote if you're a felon, if it's cleared off.
Yeah, I know. We have a lot of that going on right now, especially the us versus them. And these are fellow Americans they're talking about. Ryan Walters, we see him do it every day. Divide and cause chaos.
Well, he has figured out the way for him to get reelected is to get through a Republican primary. So he just says things to his red meat base that are just awful. He's following Nathan Dahm. Nathan Dahm's now the head of the Republican Party. He's a schmuck. And he's been saying all this crazy stuff for years and gotten away with it.
Yeah.
And promoted himself to the point of head of the Republican Party, which I'm not sure what that means right now in Oklahoma.
I'm not sure,
Because they can't get along with each other, much less with us.
And they can't even get along with each other nationally.
Yeah. Right.
Which is another thing. You got senators, and you have people like, I just saw, you have people like Kevin Hearn coming out saying that Menendez should resign.
All the Democrats were saying it too.
But Santos, well, he needs to be convicted first.
They needed that vote.
That's so cowardly right there.
And how people don't see the difference between the two. Because as of yesterday, there were 18 Democratic senators that said, hey, you got to go. He got caught with gold bars and cash. That's you got to explain your way out of that.
Yeah, that's corruption.
And
he
with
probably should
DNA
go.
on the money.
I agree, he probably should go.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to point out the big hypocrisy, especially with representatives in our own state who are saying, yeah, he needs to go.
Right. And
but
Santos.
Oh man, he's he's got every right to, innocent until proven guilty, people.
Well, even if you looked at Donald Trump, I mean, he just got that deal in New York yesterday. His businesses are going to get shut down in New York. Yeah. I mean, that's a hit.
That's a big one.
That's a big hit.
That's a big hit.
And then he's worrying about going to jail. I mean, this stuff's...
And he's, and he keeps inciting people to violence. Yeah. He keeps putting out this really bad, violent rhetoric out on Truth Social.
Ryan Walters is doing the same thing.
He's doing the same thing.
Right. Remember that teacher from Norman who didn't end up doing anything, no repercussions or anything else, and he went after her. Yeah. Death threats and everything else where she had to leave the state. Yeah. So she's suing him.
Stochastic terrorism, totally.
It's awful.
He totally planned that. Going after a private citizen that way.
It's
private citizen.
It's ruthless, but there's nothing to gain other than airtime.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be
become a joke. Well, I would say he's an ass clown. Is what. I mean, not just a clown. You're the next level of a clown.
Next level of clowniness.
Yeah, I don't know where that goes.
No, I don't know either. That's about all we got for this week, really.
County jail.
County jail. Whoa. The Village going to send their detainees to Yukon as soon as the police chief approves that. Could be any moment now. And the county jail doing better, but they still can't pass basic health inspections. So they're getting there, but they're not there yet.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. Sean Cummings.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you.
We'll see you.